welcome to this week's video. Today we're going to do a reversible bikini tutorial. I had this request so long ago, like maybe right before winter, and I just had so many other things going on that I just never got around to it. So today this is what we're going to do. I'm not going to show you how to make the pattern because I already have a video up describing how to make the pattern and everything, so you can just check that video out. I will link that at the end of this video so you can see how to make your own pattern. So what you want to have is 2 pieces for the back. Right now I'm using a pattern piece, which will be my main piece for my back, and then you need another color to have for the reversible, so I'm using a solid for that. This is my choice. You can do it how you want. You can have 2 pattern pieces, you can have 1 pattern printed piece, or a plain, or you can have 2 solid color pieces of fabric, and you're going to need 2 for the front part as well as the top. You're going to need 2 different colors for each side, and also you're going to need to cut some strips for the straps. All of this, I show you how to do all of that in the first video. So today, like I said, we're just going to put this together, and I'm just going to show you how to do a reversible bikini bathing suit. So let's get started. First, I'm going to start with this, my solid color, and I'm going to have my wrong sides, facing me when I do this. These pieces are so little I can't tell which piece I'm looking at. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and sew this together. I'm just going to pin it, just because when I'm working with a spandex or like a slippery type fabric, it tends to slide around when I'm sewing with it. So I just want to pin it to make sure it's going to stay in place when I'm sewing. And for this, you're only going to need to put together the crotch area. And don't worry about the folds, I'll show you how to do that shortly. But the type of fabric I'm working with, like I said, is like a spandex material, and it has a 4-way stretch. It stretches this way and it stretches this way. And as we discussed in some of our other videos, with working with fabric like this, you want to use a zigzag stitch, because you don't want to pull on this when you're sewing, because it's going to give you like that ruffled kind of look, and that's not what you want. You want it to look clean, you want it to look neat, so you're going to use a zigzag stitch when you're working with this type of fabric. So let's go over and change your setting on your sewing machine to the zigzag stitch. Sorry, I'm still getting used to the sewing machine. Okay, there, I'm going to switch mine. And then you're just going to let it go through the sewing machine. And if you hear a rumbling in the back, that's my heat. Just ignore it. My sewing room is in my basement, for those of you who are just starting to watch my channel. So you're just going to sew this all the way across, just like in our previous video. And this type of fabric tends to be a little sticky when you're trying to sew with it. I gave you guys a tip before on how to prevent that. You can either use tissue paper and sew it along so it just kind of guides it right on through, or you could put tape on the foot and it will help out too with the stickiness. So just go ahead and do your zigzag stitch all the way across. Let's not forget to back stitch to secure that stitch. Taking your pins out as you go. And if you see that it's uneven, just straighten it out. I'm a little bit anal when it comes to stuff like that. And back stitch. So we're going to do that to the other side, and then I'll show you how to put that together. Okay, so I have my straps here already done, and like I said in my previous video, it shows you how to make the straps. But I just wanted to show you, we do have our pattern piece connected, and we also have our solid color piece connected, and we'll work on that shortly. Right now I want to work on the top pieces. So right now I have the wrong side of the fabric facing me. I have the pattern, the two pieces, the solid color and the pattern piece, the right sides are facing each other. Now what I did here, if you can see down here, I left little marks, and those are going to be left open. So when I sew, I'm not going to sew where I left that little space, those two marks right there, because we're going to that's how we're going to turn these right side out. So with the pieces together, what you're going to do is take your strap and you're going to place that on the inside here, right at the tip. And I kind of squared mine off at the top just because we are doing a reversible bikini top. So what you want to do is place that right there at the tip, and then put your other piece right on top of that. You're going to sew that. So when you turn it right side out, when you pull that strap, it's going to be on the right side. Now if you do it the opposite way, obviously all of this will be on the inside of the bikini, but because you don't want that, you turn the other side of the strap this way, so the long piece is hanging down. So right now what we're going to do, we're not going to sew the bottom. Right now what we're going to do is sew from the top of our line here all the way until we get to the other line. So we're going to do that for both pieces. This is my super long piece, which is going to go across there. So I'm going to show you one more time. Just place that on the inside, and I always leave mine hanging over just slightly, so I know once I sew it, it's not going to come out. So we're going to do this process in two parts, just because I want to show you how not to sew the strap when you're sewing across the bottom. So I'm actually going to start and sew this piece first, just because I want to secure that very, very tightly. And like I said, you're going to use a zigzag stitch so that your fabric is not super tight. And I'll explain that to you once we're all done with this. And this can be a little tricky because that top piece is so tiny, but just take your time, don't rush through it. Back stitch. Now I like to go over mine several times, so I'm going to do that. You don't have to. I just like things that I make to be really secure, and especially with pieces like that, with tiny pieces at the top when you're working with the crotch area and under the arms, I like those parts to be really secure, so I tend to go over them a few times. It's just what I like to do. Okay, so I just wanted to make sure it was right. So I'm going to put that back. Use my needle and put that right back in there, if it'll go. Okay, and I'm going to reverse. Go forward. Reverse. And then go forward again. Just so I know it's super secure. Okay. So now what you're going to do is take your strap, line your sides up, so you're going to take your strap so that you don't sew it and push it on the inside just like this. So it's going to be sitting inside like that. So when you sew the sides, you don't sew that strap piece. And if you need to pin, go ahead and pin. I'm not going to, yes I am. What am I talking about? Okay, so if you need to pin, go ahead and pin, just to help you to keep these two pieces together, because like I said, sometimes working with spandex or anything stretchy, it could tend to be a little slippery. So when you're trying to do things like sewing, it makes it a little difficult because it may slip out of place, and then you have to use your seam ripper to start all over. So to prevent that, just go ahead and pin it. So like I said, I left a little opening here. So what I'm not going to do is sew that hole, because I need to be able to flip this right side out. So I'm going to leave that. I'm actually going to put this pin right where I need it here. Okay? Now what you're going to do is just do a zigzag stitch all the way around, remembering not to sew the opening just yet. You may have to turn and maneuver a little bit when you're sewing, because this is like a triangle. So make sure that you're turning your fabric the right way and you're getting your stitch the right way. And remember, if you have your straps closer to the edges, you want to move them out of the way, because you don't want to sew them. You need them so when you're done, you can strap this together. So I'm just going to do a zigzag stitch, like I said, all the way around. Back stitch. Make sure you're taking your pins out as you go. Back stitch here. So what I'm going to do is, I'm not going to cut this just yet. I'm just going to flip this around. I'm going to pull my thread just slightly. And I'm going to flip this around to the bottom part so I can sew that across. I'm going to take this one pin out so that I don't stitch over it. Put that in there right up under that line that I made. And I'm going to go ahead and stitch. Stitch this side. Now you're going to go ahead and do the same thing that you did for the one side and the bottom, and you're going to do the same thing with the other piece. Then I'll show you how to assemble the rest of it. So now that we have our two pieces sewn here on the wrong sides, like I said, wrong side should be facing you. We have our straps on the inside. Let's turn these right side out. So you're going to take that little area you had that you left open, and you're just going to pull through your bikini top as much as you can. If you have a tool that you use to turn your fabric inside out, go ahead and use that. I'm just going to do mine freehand. Let's get that through. And I'm just pushing the fabric through that little hole. Have it secured on both sides so that the seams won't come apart. And as you can see, our strap is coming out like it's supposed to. And this is what it looks like. So go ahead and straighten it out. Do what you have to do. We have that little opening like I said. Okay, so what we're going to do now is once we have the other one flipped out, we are going to go ahead and weed through our strap. New iron, sorry. I'm like, what's that? Something self-destructing. Okay, have your strap. And if you have any extra little thread pieces that are hanging, just go ahead and cut those. I have a little part right here that didn't get sewn, so I'm going to go ahead and sew that when I'm done. So we have one piece, and it has our print on one side, and it has the solid color on the other side. And you can go ahead and iron this down if you want to. I'm not going to do that right now. I'm not wearing it right now. It snowed, so I won't be going to the beach anytime soon. So you're going to do the same thing. Now this is the part where I did not take my thread out. I just kept my needle in. So I'm just going to snip away at those little pieces of thread, and I'm going to do the same thing to this one and turn it right side out. I like to take my finger and just push it through so those little corners can turn, you know, go where they're supposed to go. Okay, so now that we have that all done, as you can see, we have our two top pieces here. So we're just going to take our strap, put the safety pin through just like this, and we're going to take it through that little opening that we left. And just like with anything else I've shown you, like when you're doing elastic and you're weaving it through, you do it all the same way. You just go ahead and take that safety pin and let it guide that strap through the bikini top. Now once you have your main pattern done for your bikini, you can pretty much alter it any way that you want. So now what I'm going to do is attach this to the other side of the bikini. This hole is really, really tiny, but it will still go through there. So this is just a fun, simple project that you can do for yourself or for someone else to get ready for summer. Just make personalized bikinis, reversible, solid colors. You can do lace, you can do crochet, you could do satin, but you can pretty much use any type of fabric that you want as long as you have like a spandexy kind of material on the other side. Okay, so now that we have our little bikini here, our bikini top is done. We're just going to go ahead and sew up those sides, those side pieces, and once we do that, we'll go ahead and do our bottom piece. So now what I'm going to do is just simply sew it right up to the top here of my strap, and the same thing here. I'm going to put that down and I'm going to sew right above, because you still want to have that little opening space so that you can maneuver the strap the way you need to. But don't sew the strap to the bikini top, or else you won't be able to adjust it the way you need to. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Like I said, I'm going to stay with the zigzag stitch because I am using a stretch fabric. Okay, so now we're ready to work on the bottom half. Now as you can see, I already have it pinned and we have our right sides facing each other. I have our string on the inside just like we did with the bikini top. The only difference we're going to do, we're going to leave one side of this crotch area open so that we can flip it out. Nobody's going to be looking in your crotch like that, so you're really not going to be too concerned about that stitch that you're going to have there. We're going to remain with the zigzag stitch. We're going to sew all the way around, making sure that we're not going to stitch our strings here to our fabric, so push them down as much as you have to when you're going around and sewing. So we're going to sew, like I said, all the way around, leaving a small opening so that we could turn this right side out. Okay, so now that we have it all sewn, as you can see, we're going to turn this right side out, and here's our little hole that we left open. We're just going to dig this through just like we did with the top. Just push it all through that hole, and I back stitched in that area where I left the hole open just like I did with the top, so that my thread wouldn't come apart. As you can see, while you're pulling, your strings are already attached. Let's get the rest of this out. And you have your reversible bikini bottom. So now what you want to do is find that area that you left open. You want to try to fold that fabric in as much as possible. And then just do that same old zigzag stitch to close it. Okay guys, so now you have your very own reversible bikini, and you did it all yourself. If you follow the directions that I've given you, it should turn out perfectly. You shouldn't have any problems with it. You could pick any pattern, like I said, if you want to do like a crochet lace or a regular lace, satin, any kind of spandex, stretchy cotton material, as long as you have a spandex lining. Even if you're not doing a reversible one, if you're using anything other than a spandex or stretchy material, you still want to make sure that you do have a stretchy material behind it as backup. So I love doing stuff like this. If you have any more requests for me, go ahead and ask me in the comments. All of my social media is in the description. If there is a custom order that you want to see if I can make that for you, I've been getting some requests through my business email about doing custom orders. I'm working on something right now for someone. I did 2 prom dresses for my niece. I'm working on some birthday, little girl birthday tutu outfits and things like that. So if you have a question like that for me, don't hesitate to ask. The worst you're going to hear from me is no, I can't do it, or you know, yes, I can do it. So I hope all of you like this video. If you like it, give it a thumbs up, share it out with your friends, family, co-workers, what have you. If you're not already subscribed to my channel and you want to see a lot more of what's to come, go ahead and subscribe. Go ahead and subscribe, and I will see all of you next week. Bye. Hello and welcome to Sew Saturdays. Today I'm going to teach you how to make a bikini bottom and top. I have the pattern cut out for the top already, and this is 8 inches on each side. We have 10 inches across and a 1-inch curve. Now you may need it smaller or bigger, and you can just adjust. Basically what you want to do is measure from about midpoint right here, and measure down the side, down the front, which is probably going to be the same size. You measure across, and then you want to measure your curve. So that's how you get that measurement, or you could use your bra. So I have this already. What I have here, I have 2 different bikini bottoms that I want to show you. This one is a little bit more sexier. It's kind of more like underwear than an actual bikini. I bought this years ago and I never wore it. I still have it actually. And then we have the more fuller butt and front. So basically what you want to do is trace the back and then trace the front, and I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do that. If you don't have bikini bottoms, use a pair of underwear. Use a pair of underwear. If you get into making things for someone else, you can always readjust the size. If you're doing custom orders, you're going to want somebody's measurements anyway, so you're going to want them to measure across the front and across the back, and then you can adjust the across the width of your vaginas. You're going to want to know that everybody's is different. Everybody's width of their vagina, some is smaller, some is larger, so you're going to want to know that. So again, if you're doing a custom order and you're going to make your own patterns without using underwear or a bikini, you're going to want to know the measurement across from probably, if you look down, you're probably, however they want it, so probably from here to here. Bone to bone is what I say. You see that? Bone to bone is what you want to measure across, and then of course measure across your back, and then the width of your vagina. I know it's kind of gross, but I'm just trying to tell you here. So that's what you have to do.